What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Beyond the Arc podcast. Today, I'm joined by Coach Ben Smith from B Basketball. Coach Ben, it's a pleasure to have you.
My guy, it's awesome. Not only to meet you, we've had a Zoom call, we've talked for ages, we've got a lot in common. I'm excited to get chatting with you. Thanks for the opportunity.
Likewise, Coach. So let's get it started right away. If you could just introduce yourself and B Basketball to the audience, so that we've heard great things and now we've seen great things, but share it also with the people around the world.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So my name is Ben Smith, or Coach B, Coach Ben. It's been my Superman name for the last 10, 15 years while we've been doing this.
Yep.
So I've actually lived in Doha, Qatar for the last 14 years. Basketball's been a part of my life since I was 10. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to reveal my age, but it's been a long time. So I'm from Wales in the UK. So Wales isn't typically known for the basketball as a basketball nation.
Yep.
But there was something about me going from playing football, being introduced to rugby because it's in our blood in Wales, to actually bouncing a ball. Mm-hmm. And I couldn't stop bouncing it. And it was just something about it. I don't know, in a past life, maybe I have no idea. It was just crazy and no one could really understand it. So from that, it just went into daily individual practice. I begged my dad to put a hoop up on the house and get up shots and pretty much teach myself. And it's crazy. I know I'm jumping a little bit now, but when I think about what we do now in the skills training and what I spend hours and hours and hours doing by myself in front of the patio window so I could use it as a mirror so I could break down moves myself, I'm like, I'm pretty much doing it as a job right now. I was building something then, something intuitively inside of me was like, yeah, this feels right. You got a call in to do this. And then I just love playing, not just playing the sport, but working with kids. My mother at the time in Wales, when I was still in university, was head of social service, which is basically an organization that deals with childcare, troubled kids, kids with disabilities. So me and my sister would work every summer for 6 weeks as part of what they call a play scheme. So we would work 5 days, and we'd have the weekend off, and we would play with kids with ADHD, children with learning difficulties, physical disabilities. So I worked with children since I was 18. And then I got my coaching qualifications when I was early 20s, and I was still playing basketball then. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the level wasn't great in the UK, but it was competitive, and I would travel up to England now and again, and go to the cities in Wales. I'm from a very small valley town in Wales. There's 12,000 people. We're surrounded by mountains, sheep. It's your idealistic view of a Welsh town.
Right.
So when people are like, "How are you even related to basketball in any way?" It's crazy. So yeah, I just followed that passion and that kind of call into the game, and now I look at what we're doing. It's just been a crazy journey. And like I said earlier, I've been in Doha for 14 years. B Basketball's been going for 10. We've built a great program, got some great staff, and we just love every single day that we get up and get to do this and impact kids' lives with basketball.
Love it, Coach. We know that you work with youth. You also work with professionals out here in Qatar. Maybe we can speak a little bit into the system, maybe in Qatar and Middle East, which is probably very similar. The development stages of the kids, so when they start, and how they start, and how they go up to the higher levels. If there is any, I'm asking a lot of questions now.
Yeah.
But is there a difference that you see between kids in the Middle East and kids abroad?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And it's, I know we touched on it earlier when we were just chatting outside. And what I've loved about basketball, and especially coming to a region like this, and I was lucky enough to have great coaches, and I think that really impacted me as a kid. To instill love for the game and know that mistakes are fine and it's part of it, and there's no shouting, there's no rah-rah in your face. It's a very thin line where you have to balance that, wanting to, we call it stroke kick, or kick stroke within B Basketball's development curriculum. So first of all, it's building a rapport. So when you've got a rapport with a kid, well, you can kick them a little bit now. You know what I mean? So that means that you've stroked them a little bit, as in like you've cared for them a little bit, and now you have the big brother attitude of just like, well, I know I have your respect now, so I can kick you a little bit. So the life lessons that we can instill and teach through basketball is probably the one thing that's within our top 3 criteria in development curriculum pathway of what we try to teach. It's not like we're after wins, it's not like we're after certain kind of goals within championships. Like we're very realistic, as in like these are the international kids that we have, and here's also the local kids that we have in an expat community. You know, as we were saying earlier, they're very affluent. They have maids. They might have drivers. They definitely got the new iPhone. They might, might have a newer phone than you as a coach. Like, it's, you can't generalize at the same time. But when you've lived here long enough, definitely there's not so much, and this isn't any fault to the kid too, but there's definitely an entitlement there. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I know we understand because you're obviously over in Dubai as well, and it's no one's fault. It's just the way it is when parents only want the best for their kids. Right. So that's like, how do you even draw that thin line to be like, I want my kid to have everything I didn't have. But then where's that thin line of like, okay, well now I feel like I deserve to have the gold medal every time. So now you have that like soft culture globally, actually. Yeah. And we had a huge conversation. And if I jump out in conversations, we can bring it back to whatever specific question, but I'll definitely make it relevant. But we have conversations all the time in our staff meeting about, do we give out participation medals or trophies? And we're like, well, no, because we're even strengthening what we can see as a culture of entitled kids here, where, like I said earlier, and I don't think you were there, we were giving out the awards ceremony for Group 1, which is our youngest group in this DME camp. Yep. There's some 10-year-olds in there, and it was the most competitive group of 30 kids that we had, and we only had one MVP. Wow. Right? We had best attitude, best teammate, and most improved. But we had like 10 in front of us that we were like, this is really tough. So I immediately started to draw attention. I told them there might even be some tears here today. There might even be some broken hearts. And you know what? That's okay. It draws the attention to like, it matters to you, and it's okay that you're upset. You might not get the job interview. You might fail your driving test the first time. That's a life lesson. That's resilience, how you picking yourself back up. So through sport, and even Coach Wessam, who's the director of this camp, we're very fortunate to have in the national team coach of Jordan, who's just come off the end of the World Cup last year with Jordan. Yep. And he drew attention to it. And the biggest lessons that come in any sport, really, or life in general, is when you really, air quotes, lose. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, it's great what we can do, and I remind our coaches all the time also. And it's a tricky one because you have competitive fire inside, so the kid wants to win, and then you're also at the same time, like, I was observing a lot yesterday, and I've directed programs all over the world now. I've built basketball over the last 10 years, and I always draw attention to what things I pick up from all the coaches that I'm around. And every single coach yesterday, was shouting one thing more than anything else, and that was pass the ball. Right? No one was shouting, shoot threes, or let's score more, or whatever. Right. Like when there was a time to play defense or press or get into strategy, cool. But the number one skill that every coach was harping on about, and I hear it all the time, because it's actually one of my key, we meet every Sunday as a basketball coaching staff, and I always draw attention to and make sure that our philosophy, as if anyone come into the basketball court and saw a quality of ours, what I would want it to be. Right. And we talked about player presence. In terms of positive player presence, like you come in and they're the ones welcoming, even if it's a away game. Our guys are coming in and saying, hey, thanks for inviting us today, great game, or whatever. They come onto the court and they're the ones going to the refs. So we have presence, positive presence, and that we share the ball. We don't typically call it passing sometimes, especially at the younger age. We say, let's share the ball. Right. It gives it a different kind of, it's a subtle difference. Yes. So, yeah, we love to talk about that more, and then all the life lessons that comes with it. And yeah, getting back to your earlier question, I'd say living here in the Middle East and also living in Asia, and I've traveled to Australia, I've been into the States, and I've been to Greece, and definitely seen a whole host of teaching methodologies. And I don't have kids of my own, but I treat every kid that I'm coaching as my own kid. Yes. And I know that we had a conversation earlier, in the way that you deal with your guys since 2019 is that you have that big brother, that big brother response, the respect, the responsibilities, and they buy into that. And I told you yesterday as well, I was saying it to Coach Julia, I was saying it to my staff, and I was like, you know what, Dubai stood out to me. Because they played with heart, they didn't give up, they were down. And I was like, you build in the most constructive way possible soldiers to go out and fight for you.
Yeah.
And you had that. They got themselves out of the trenches yesterday, their chins were down, their attitude's great, everyone's giving high fives. Every time they leave the gym and enter the gym, they're coming up and giving me a high five. Thank you for the opportunity, coach, is great. Like, man, as you're directing and managing your own academy, let alone many other things that you got going on. But again, I can tell that you've had such a positive impact in their lives. I just want to say great job doing that. And if they were your sons, I'd be like, great parent.
You don't know how much that means to me. But we align with a lot of what you just said. And just like you shared a few things, I'll throw a few, I call them gems out there. So you said stroke, kick, right? We say demanding, not demeaning. You ask for a lot, but in a way where it's not demeaning to the kid. You spoke about positive player presence. We speak about image, which stands for I is impression. So your first impression matters a lot. M is manners, and everything matters when it comes to manners, right? If it comes down even to like if you see trash, you pick it up, even if it's not yours, but people notice it. If there's sweat on the floor and you just wipe it with your shoe or you grab a towel, whatever the case may be. A and G are an attitude of gratitude, and that's where it's thank you for the opportunity. It's something that we teach the kids.
Yes.
And E at the end is effort, energy and effort. So every time we're on the court, whether it's a workout, a session, a game, the one thing that's non-negotiable is energy and effort. And our theme at Hang Time is all hustle. That's our slogan. So if you're not hustling, you sit.
I love it. And that was evident yesterday. You were down, I was watching, I was actually on the table, and you were playing one of, if not the toughest, maybe older team a little bit.
Yep.
And you said, I wanted our guys to go in and battle it out and be in the older group, so we made that happen, and you showed that you deserved to be there. So the way they brought it back was amazing. There was definitely that trust element and that respect element from you as the leader, and they all pulled each other up. It was awesome, man.
100%.
Yeah.
And I love the way that you also speak about basketball and you guys being older brothers and mentors to the kids. Probably going back a little bit in time with coaches, it was always the authoritative figure on the team. Kids are scared to go to speak to their coach or ask them, and things have changed a lot. And going to the entitlement of the kids, it looks like with authority and entitled kids, those don't go well together, right? So you gotta build that relationship, and we gotta be, I tell our coaches all the time, like, if a kid comes to you and tells you things that he can't even come and tell his parents, you're in the right spot. That means you've developed that relationship, So it's awesome to see that you guys are doing this in Qatar. It's awesome to see that your kids are outstanding. And yesterday we saw it, whether it's the skill first, but also similar to what you mentioned, the attitude, the manners, the respect, how organized they are. They're very detailed. So that's also kudos to you and what you guys are doing out here in Qatar.
Appreciate it. And you know what, just going on that, there's a lot of kids that are with B, and there's some kids that are at other clubs, and there's other clubs that are doing great jobs here as well. And then when we talk, and again, I have to tread carefully here, but I'm very transparent and I'll say it as it is. And it'll be interesting, I'd love to know in terms of where you got your philosophy from, as in like coming up with those important initials and what they mean and the standpoint and the staples behind them, like where did that come from? Because I think we're doing much more than just building an academy here. You're building, and this is part of our curriculum, our development plan. We're building, obviously, players and people, but we're building positive human beings. Again, you'll see the B come in a lot. My background's marketing, so I'm very subtle with the marketing and the branding stuff, but we're basically creating and fostering positive human beings in the world that are respectful, that will pick up the trash, that will say hi to every cleaner and every maid and whatever. there's a level here in the Middle East where you can bump into someone who's on 150 euros a month or 150 million euros a year. Like, you know what I mean? The disparity of wealth,
huge.
You have no idea. And I've been in the Welsh valleys. I've seen where it's been not to be maybe at the bottom, but definitely this middle class, lower middle class. My parents didn't earn very high salary, so we spoke about this. I don't know who it was very recently, and we were asking each other, where do you think that fire comes from inside a kid that doesn't give up?
Mm-hmm.
And like you look at all the hoopers in the States, maybe they're from the Bronx, maybe they're in Harlem, maybe they're for want of a better word, like ghetto players or whatever, and they're in that environment where their parents might be dealing drugs or they might be in prison or whatever. Like stuff like that was happening in South Wales where I was.
Mm-hmm.
People didn't grow up with the full family intact.
Yes.
So you attack life differently,
Sure.
And if you've got a positive outlet, which is sport, then every game, every possession, every basket counts.
Mm-hmm.
So you're not going to give up. Whereas here, it can a little bit. The chin can go down. The give up mentality. Like yesterday, we had some trades.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw it. I mean, we had trades in Group 1, and definitely one team lost their better player, and there was like a secondary better player on that team, and his chin went down, and his whole. And again, at that age too, it's nothing to do with again what we talked about earlier, like the entitlement or whatever. I think for any kid, really, depending on how their household is, how their parents are. There's such a thin line of how the kids are shaped. They're sponges, and they'll take everything in. So, yeah, as coaches, and I say to our guys all the time, like we've got such an important impact. We're putting on a superhero cape every time we're going to coach.
100%.
They'll remember the smallest details and they'll feed off your energy.
Yeah.
They're super sensitive to it.
Yeah.
So if you're not bringing your A game, or if you're like feeling a little bit down or whatever, pick yourself up even for that next 2 hours that you're there with them.
Mm-hmm.
Because kids will remember that. But yeah, it's a tricky one because they might go off to other clubs where it's demanded. Like for instance, you could go to the youth EuroLeague clubs where you're talking Real Madrid, you're talking Barcelona, you're talking Valencia maybe. Now that's going to be super competitive because they're building the next Ricky Rubio or Luka Doncic or whatever. So the way that they would coach, they're going to break some hearts. They might even break them so much that they might break a kid's love of the game.
Yes.
So it's so, for me, I made a very realistic observation of like, okay, well, what do I want out of this? Do I want to keep trying to play pro? Do I want to make a salary from it? When I graduated, I went into the working world. I enjoyed that a little bit. I loved traveling as well, and I was still being able to coach basketball as well. And I wanted to experience more of life. Mm-hmm. And just to touch on something that's pretty cool now, and someone drew attention to this recently, was, they asked me what my dream was as a kid, and I think we'd all probably agree, even though we might be from Dubai or different countries in Wales and whatever, that I wanted to play in the NBA, or I was looking at that, not understanding that the crazy, small percentage of players that actually make it to that level. But when you're a kid, you just see the best league in the world and you want to be in that. So now, getting into my early 40s, to now know that I've got NBA contacts in my phone. I never played there, but I'm actually running my own academy. I'm doing NBA affiliated camps, doing DME camps. We've got a pipeline here to the US. Mm-hmm. It's kind of cool what you've built. So
100%.
That's just a little message for anybody out there, is whatever your dream is or whatever your passion or your purpose feels like inside that calling, it might not at the end be exact what you wanted at 10 years or 11, but stick with it.
Yes.
And it'll pretty much turn out in a beautiful way anyway. So
100%. Last question. Today we're here in the DME showcase, and we've been running for the past 3 days. When it comes down to kids getting scouted, obviously, again, you've worked with pros, you've worked with kids, and you've been all around the world. For sure, you have to be skilled enough to get scouted. You have to be, if you're a guard, you have to be able to shoot it, dribble it, pass it, etc. But what are some of the things that go beyond the court that matter, you think, to scouts and to coaches?
And you know what? It just comes back to everything we've been speaking about, which honestly is, I can't be more truer and more straightforward, is, are you a coachable kid? And that's coachable on the court, on the bench. Well, how's your body language? How is your presence. So it comes back to everything that we were both speaking about a moment ago. Coach Wes alluded to it earlier. There was definitely some real big players in the first group, but they were cheer the ball, they were down, they didn't get the call, foul, they call it foul. So they might have actually been, air quotes, the better player in terms of, well, I don't even want to use that. The better player shouldn't even be called that. They might have been
the more talented.
More talented, thank you, yeah, and the more competitor, maybe. Yeah. But with those attributes that for great coaches that will actually go long with building a team, you can get wins with some of those competitors. Mm-hmm. But when you're trying to build a team, like what if Phil Jackson, we all know this beautiful thing now because we watched all the documentaries, but he had to say to MJ, I've got to try and get 20 out of you, not 40, and you need to share it a little bit for us to actually be a championship team, not just a winning game team.
Yes.
We're playing a team sport at the end of the day, and in life, it's basically a team environment anyway. We have to collab, we have to, co-create, and we have to mingle with everybody, whether it's in a small tribe or in a big organization. So how can we be confident in ourselves individually, but how can we lean on others and do it in the most positive way? So going back to your point, how is your presence when you turn up? Are you going up to the coaches and saying, hey guys, good morning, thank you? How are you leaving a mark on them that, okay, even when the basketball days finish, now you're coming to do a job interview and you're being upbeat, welcoming or whatever, and they're like, oh wow, who's that? Like you're already, making an imprint on other people in a positive way. So coachable on and off the court, how's your body language? And just all that juice that we were just talking about, which actually I would love to put it back on you for one quick question and be like, where do you think that came from? Do you have a story, or do you have a history or something that impacted you that now gives you this outlet, as in, this is my structure of what I want my academy to be about?
Yeah, for us, it's been, so my background, I've lived in Dubai for a really long time. I've grown up there. Before that, I was in the US and in Turkey, but I've grown up I've been there since 2005. So I grew up in a very similar environment to what they've grown up in. And I was taught the game the way they were taught it, for the most part. I've had one or two crazier coaches, but what happened was my parents both work. My dad has different businesses. I didn't do this for the money. It was purely out of passion. And it was after I've coached in several academies and I've seen how transactional the system is with academies. It's all about, pay, come, numbers, let's make money, get out of here. And I was like, that's not the right way to do it, So I wanted to do it the right way. And we started with 5 kids in my community where I live in. We passed out flyers, got 5 kids, but I was really passionate about it. And slowly but surely, the word of mouth, without even any marketing, word of mouth, in about 6 months, we were up to 30, 40 kids. And that was the base that we started to build on. A lot of the kids that are here today are from those 2019 kids. They started from scratch.
Nice.
We got inspired from a lot of people. I've also been around the world, different camps, different showcases, worked with different coaches, Division I prep schools and national teams in Europe. And so I've been inspired by so many of them. I will give kudos to one academy that I really, really respect. It's called PGC Basketball, Point Guard College. These guys are doing it the right way. And Mano knows. I've met with Mano a couple of times. Mano, if you're hearing this, we appreciate everything you do.
Respect.
A lot of things that we learn and pick up from you guys at PGC. So that's where it came from. I figured because I was in their shoes, similar to when, like you said, the coach that comes out from the ghetto, he understands the kids from the ghetto, and he's able to connect with them at a different level. I came out from the privileged family that doesn't have a kid that doesn't have that much fight and hunger. So I also know how to build that relationship and where to push their buttons. And that goes back to you'll see me on the court and it fluctuates so much. Sometimes I'm quiet and I sit down, or in timeout I'm so calm, or I'm raging inside. I was like, hey, we're doing great, whatever. And sometimes I might be calm, but I need to switch it on and I go bozo,
Yeah.
right? And it's just, understanding the kids, understanding the culture and where they come from, and building on that. So that's how we did ours.
That's awesome.
But I appreciate your time, Coach. Appreciate you joining us. We're definitely going to do more of these. There's a lot of stuff that we can talk about. We can go on for hours.
Yeah, we can easily.
We didn't even talk about basketball yet.
I
X's and O's and skill development. But really appreciate it again. Appreciate you having us here in Qatar. Outstanding organization from A to Z, hosting. Everything has been perfect. We've enjoyed our time here, and we're looking forward to coming down hopefully every year to this DME showcase, bringing kids and building that stronger relationship and partnership between Hang Time and B Basketball.
Appreciate it, Coach K. I'm really excited for the future and to continue this, what looks like a partnership. We understand each other on a very nice level. And again, thanks for this opportunity for the podcast. And we appreciate you making the trip out here to Doha, Qatar. So we'll do this again.
Thank you, Coach. All right, listeners, you heard it. Be basketball, be yourself, be a hooper, be the guy that does things the right way. All right, Coach K and Coach Ben, we were at the Beyond the Arc podcast. Until next time, peace.